So yeah.
Right. So, sir, coming back to the the Shravana, sir, connecting people.
Right. Yep. Connecting people. Sun is actually carrying, a lot of energy of connection. It is carrying a lot of energy of listening. It is also carrying travel energy also.
Okay, sir. So what you were saying, sir, about Shravana?
So I was saying about with Shravana, Shravana is carrying this energy of listening. You have to remember the symbol of Shravana is 3 steps, which can signify traveling. It can signify, the pathway which you take also. It can also signify anything with 3 in general.
3 years.
Now with the other symbol of Shravana is actually hearing or the ear.
Right.
So, many times this is, so a lot of, ear problems can happen. Perhaps there is a history of this kind of not listening happening. You'll see that whatever planet is placed in Shravana, you will end up listening to that particular planetary karka. That's just one of those things.
Right. Saturn will make you go through that.
Yep. Saturn will make you listen to that kind of planetary karka in your
Beautiful
element.
point, sir. Beautiful point.
Yeah, you'll end up listening to that kind of thing. You might not like it, but you'll end up listening to that in the end.
Right.
The other thing I would say with Shravana also, now Saturn, the first part of Shravana is where Saturn is getting debilitated. So there might be a challenge there. But then after that, it's going to improve a lot in many ways. Saturn will go over, good signs and all that. Usually with Shravana, one important thing is that important thing that will play out is you'll be either forced to listen to your spouse one way or the other, because Moon rules the 7th house, 7th lord.
Right.
The spouse
right.
is happening in a big way. Perhaps Saturn is there, or you're having karma with the spouse not listening to you, or that kind of thing. Right. Yeah, and then you're forced to deal with that kind of thing, because Moon rules the 7th house. The other thing with Shravana is that I've seen a lot of karma translating, because you listen to something and then you translate, right? So that's something that can play out. So sometimes that what can happen is that you might suddenly start to translate. Many translations will come during this time. Many people might start translating some books. They might translate old texts. They might translate one famous book to the local language, or local book to famous language, stuff like that. All that translation kind of thing will come across. You'll even come across a lot of interesting things about the year, that time period. You might get more headphones. You'll see a big thing playing out in the headphones kind of market.
Right.
A lot of variations will happen at that point.
Right.
With Shravana, also great thing with regard to music will also play out. A lot of you'll find a lot of people listening to music in a big way. A lot of new interesting kind of thing will play out. Now, they say Shravana is also the seat of Saraswati, because you make Swati, Nakshatra is the ascendant. 4th house from Swati is actually, Shravana.
Yes.
So they say that there's a lot of, Saraswati's blessing here. These natives are extremely knowledgeable. Find a lot of people coming across a lot of new knowledge during this time frame. They might be coming across old translations, and that is bringing in new knowledge.
Right.
Many times, this is also Nakshatra I've seen very strongly associated with traveling to get knowledge.
Right.
So suddenly they are traveling to some foreign land and then gaining the knowledge. They are willing to travel to Africa or India, or even all the way to China to gain knowledge.
Right.
That kind of traveling can happen.
Or sir, what I'm thinking is, again, sorry to interrupt, maybe your traveling can happen from like a zigzag pattern, like a snake, because opposite again is Ashilesha. So you might travel from one place, then you might travel somewhere else, and then again you have to come back to the same place, like a very zigzag pattern.
Yeah, of course, it can happen in zigzag matter, like Ashlesha. You might travel with Ashlesha kind of people.
Right.
With Shravana, one thing I've seen is also you might travel to 3 different places, like one travel to 3 different places.
Yes.
You might travel to 3 different temples. Now there are some temples with 3 different deities. In fact, there are temples in the morning time that goddess is one form. Noon time she's like Parvati or some Lakshmi or something, and third night time she's like Saraswati or something like that.
Right.
So it's like you find temples like that. Those kind of temples are very famous. Like in fact, the Kollur Mogambika temple is famous for that. Of course, it is aspecting Ashlesha, so that temples control Nagas will be great. Any kind of Naga kind of temple. In fact, one temple is Mannarshala in Kerala, and there's another famous temple called Pambu Mekada in Kerala, in Thrissur.
Right.
So that's also a famous temple. Going to those kind of temples might happen. Shravana is also connected with hiking. So one important thing with Shravana is that you might actually walk and do the pilgrimages. Now there are many pilgrimages in the world where you actually, like there is in Portugal, there is a famous pilgrimage route. You begin at one end of the Portugal, you go to the other end, you walk all the way to, France or somewhere like that. You go to Spain and you go end up in France, which is a famous pilgrimage route. Even in Mexico, there is a famous pilgrimage route. There's a 10-kilometer walk which you have to walk all the way to get to that temple. All that church, So all that is associated with Shravana. You'll find that many times these natives are willing to do that walking. And I've seen this is an actual remedy for Shravana native. They just have to start walking or do the long distance thing. And many times I've seen is that there might be these are natives who are very easily they are willing to travel long distances. So like a lot of people who are willing to attend conferences and stuff like that can also be activated right now. I would even say that there might be very interesting expansion happening in a threefold manner. You find a lot of unexpected giants in knowledge coming during this time period.
Wow.
A lot of people will actually someone who has been familiar with one world in a very long way and suddenly is translating that kind of experience to the other, bringing knowledge to the West or something like that.
Right.
So like Americans who travel to India, they learn the knowledge and then they share that knowledge back to America, or like Indians who travel to the US or Europe and they bring that knowledge back into India and implement
a lot of hidden treasures might come out. It can be interpreted in many ways again by connecting Ashlesha to the opposite nakshatra, right, sir?
Yep, definitely. So one different implication of that is that you might be traveling for detoxifying yourself, or purifying yourself.
Healing.
Exactly. You might be traveling for healing purposes. Now, sometimes there might be travel associated because of family reasons. That can definitely happen. In Shravana. There might also be travel associated with marriage reasons also. Your friends are married and you're forced to travel.
Right.
That kind of thing also happen during this time. With Shravana, one other thing is that, there'll be a lot of trilogies that can play out during Saturn's transit. So people are willing to write 3 books at the same time, or 3 different projects at the same time, or 3 different roles at the same time. That can happen in an easy manner. With Shravana, one thing is that, the deity here is Vamana. And the Vamana is literally the avatar connected with Jupiter. So you'll find a lot of gurus being formed with Shravana. Literally many people who are karmically destined to become gurus or teachers, they'll just come out of nowhere really, and it's almost like they'll be familiar with, okay, I have a lot of knowledge, whatever, but then suddenly they come to the limelight and stuff like that.
Right.
You'll find a lot more audiobooks coming, the audiobook market, and a lot more people doing podcasts.
Yes.
Exactly. A lot more people doing podcasts and stuff, a lot more people listening to podcasts during this time frame.
This is a beautiful point. Yes.
Yeah, so a lot more podcasts for sure. You'll find a lot of people listening to that. A lot more activity happening on that front. Podcast industry will face a cleanup kind of thing. So it can happen in both ways. Either your podcast is getting affected, or if you're so karmically destined to create a podcast, you might be like, okay, fine, it's time to create a new podcast.
Again, depending upon your chart.
Exactly, yeah, exactly that. Now, one thing I can say is that if during this time frame, it is great if you can listen to any kind of mantras. Now, we haven't made a video on Shravana yet, but for Shravana, one definite thing is that you can find this connection with 1,000 Sahasranama mantras, with Shravana.
Right.
Because 1,000 is having 3 zeros in it.
Right.
In fact, the standard mantra for Sahasranama is Vishnu Sahasranama.
Yes.
Chanting that is very good. If you have a plan to Shravana, you don't need to chant it, you just need to listen to it. That's it's as strong as that.
Beautiful.
You can listen to Vishnu Sahasranama, that is great. Now, the next mantra, which is 1,000 names of Vishnu, that mantra is great. Try to understand the meanings of that mantras, each of those names of Vishnu. That is great. Now, there is 1,000 names of the goddess also called as the Lalita Sahasranama. That is also a great thing. So you'll find a lot more things happening on that front. Listening to that mantra is very, very powerful. Now, there are all kinds of Sahasranama mantras out there. There is a Ganesh Sahasranama, there's a Shiva Sahasranama, Kali Sahasranama. Depending upon the planet, you have the Narasimha Sahasranama, all the Lakshmi Sahasranama, even I'm assuming.
Right.
Listening to those Sahasranama mantras will be very, very good for you during this time frame. Listening to that, trying to contemplate on the meaning of that. Sometimes what happens with the these mantras is that one particular one particular name will be there for a long time. It might just come out of nowhere and stuff like that. And then when you look into the meaning of that particular mantra, you'll find that that was very deep. That's something you can see that,
Right.
With Shravana, many people will have ear problems. They'll have to clean their ear, or they'll have to do the ear, visit an ENT and stuff like that.
Right.
With Shravana, one more thing is that one thing I've seen with Shravana is that there is this theme of letting go of land. A lot of teams in which there is some connection where because Mahabali himself had to let go of his kingdom, surrendered his kingdom away to Vishnu, right? So I've seen this theme of this something happening in the family, and you just have to sacrifice some kind of land to some. Usually, it's like depends upon the chart and all that. For some people, it might be like, okay, I'm giving away my inheritance. I don't want my land. Let my sister take it, or my brother take it, or something like that. For some people, it might be like, okay, fine, our uncle cheated or whatever, and then we are finally forced to like let go of the land.
Right.
So it might depend upon your chart again. But this theme of letting go of land is one thing I was saying. It could be that you might find this kind of theme happening at a national level in one of the countries also.
Absolutely.
There might be something along those lines can happen. Many people will be willing to donate their lands for religious causes. That can also happen during this time. Now with Vamana, we have to remember the story of Vamana is that it's a dwarf who became a giant.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot more children, very young children who will become very scholarly, who will become extremely giant.
Suddenly matured.
Sudden matured also. You might even see that some people, it's a child who is bringing you down.
Right.
Like you become a senior in the company, and the child, a tech whiz come and a wizard comes and biscuit comes, and he just like changes the companies completely.
Right.
So you're kind of confronted with that. That can also happen.
Right.
With Shravana, one more thing is that there is this karma ultimately of listening to your own inner voice.
Right.
Intuition is this voice that is it's almost like a cold whisper.
Right.
So that we have like approximately 72,000 thoughts a day.
Right.
Now, out of that thoughts, if you say, even if you listen to 100 thoughts, right, which are coming from divine, which are divine sources,
right,
then imagine like even if one of those thoughts, like that was one thought that came into your mind, and suddenly you acted on that thought, and next thing you know, you just become a millionaire or whatever. You buy a land, you get a millionaire, you start a new project, that kind of thing. So during Shravana Nakshatra, it's very important to kind of force yourself to enter into space where you're listening to your deepest intuition. Because remember, it's the nakshatra ruled by moon. So you have to listen to your own emotions, listen to your own feelings. You have to listen to your own intuition. That's very, very important.
So can we say that it becomes more prominent, more significant if you have, suppose, some planets sitting in ascendant because Saturn is going over your head, then the internal listening becomes more prominent. He wants to make you hear things not on a superficial level, but on the internal level. And or suppose if you have the ascendant Lord and Saturn is going over through your Shravana, right? Sir?
Now see, Now see, there are different levels to that. It's kind of like depending upon the planets. You might be listening to the wrong person.
Okay. Right.
You might. Right. So it's very important to even purify that within yourself. This can also happen.
Great
planets
point. Great point.
All that, and you might be forced to confront what are you listening to.
Right.
Are you listening to the right person? What is the effect of the listening? All that choices will become very strong. What is the music you're listening to? Why am I listening to all the depressive songs, and why am I constantly depressed?
Right.
Is it possible that I just need to listen to maybe a different kind of song, or maybe should I be listening to classical music or whatever? And is that going to change my thing? You might actually face those kind of things. You'll see that kind of effect. But the important, the higher level of again, this is happening the simplest our own existence level, our own individual simple life level. But at the spiritual level, what I've seen is that many times, these are the natives who will say, I've been constantly guided from my guides, or I receive guidance from my guides and stuff like that, or angels are whispering in my ears and I listen to that, or our devas are whispering in my ears and I listen to that.
Wow.
But then at the lower end, you find people who are employing karma pishajinis and stuff like that.
Exactly.
They'll do the spirits and stuff, and then spirits are kind of telling them.
Right.
Now, see, one remedy here is that actually, I found this astrology saying that if you have a planet in Capricorn, doing the samskar, the ear samskar, right? The samskar associated with ear. Like you invite the priest, you make ear hole, you make a
Okay.
hole for the earring, like an actual priestly kind of ceremony for your ear is very good in terms of clearing that Shravana karma, in terms of clearing your Capricorn karma. But it should be happening in a priestly kind of manner. So making a hole for the earrings in your ears is
Right.
like an actual karma, that can help in clearing any kind of problem. So that's why even men would also wear earrings in ancient India and stuff like that. Some people do that even now also traditionally in villages and stuff. You find that.
Right.
So that's actually good for clearing or improving that kind of Shravana kind of karma. So it's like you suddenly wear earring, like men is like you make that earring kind of ceremony. You have to do it in a ceremonious manner. You have to invite a priest, you do that, or you have to invite a shaman or do it especially that kind of thing. Then
Right.
you'll see some kind of improvements happening. You'll
Right.
see that that karma, that the basis for that remedy is actually Shravana Nakshatra. That's the reason why this Capricorn kind of thing is getting that kind of, because Shravana is literally years. That's one
And
thing.
this makes sense, sir. If you make Shravana the ascendant, the natural house of gains and wishes becomes the Jeshta.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So
So
it
yeah,
totally
if you
makes
start
sense
wearing,
what you're saying.
so if you start wearing earrings, you start wearing simple earrings, 11,000 is getting activated with your
Right.
forward, and then you get more blessings and stuff, that
Right.
kind of thing.
So, sir,
So
can we
yeah,
say if we belong to a music industry, or if we are
yep.
that we might have to hear more, or we might sell more of the musical products,
Yeah, definitely.
or
Yeah,
suddenly our interest gets from a stable nakshatra of Uttarashada going into the chara quality of Shravana, because
yeah,
the next
definitely.
one is again Dhanishta.
Yep. Remember, Shravana is associated with traveling. Wherever you
Right.
make 3 steps, there's a travel you're making.
Travel, yes.
So you'll find a lot of people traveling, a lot of people hiking. Interest in that kind of industry will take more. Traveling kind of industries will also happen. Music industry will definitely take off. A lot of karmic cleansing will happen on that front. I would say even depending upon your planets, a lot of gains can happen. A lot of its songs will also increase. If you'll see that, you'll see those
It's
kind of
it's
things playing out.
it's funny, sir. You have mentioned about the postcard, because a lot of you requests came to my end, and they wanted me to do the podcast in the coming year. So it's
Yeah,
so interesting
yeah.
that you have
No, it's
mentioned
very
that.
interesting. No, I would definitely encourage that. For sure. Podcasts will actually encourage activate a listening kind of thing. There are people for whom that they can't. They have the karma through listening.
Right.
You have the 5 senses. For some people, it's like the taste karma. They attend God through like other things. For some, it's like seeing. For some, it's sight. For some, it's smell. For some, it's like taste. For some, it's like touch.
Exactly. Yes.
For some, it's but the Shravana is the biggest. They say the sound is the most superior sense of them all,
Right.
because when you close your eyes, you can still listen. You can still hear the sound. So like that. That's a very when you begin to activate that kind of energy of sound of podcasts, and there's an actual thing there. Now,
Right.
the reason why they say when Saraswati is connected here, remember anything three is here. So you have the three murtis connected here. The three
Okay.
murti shaktis, the corresponding shaktis of Saraswati,
Yeah.
Lakshmi, and Parvati. That is also connected here.
Right.
And definitely Saraswati is an important part here also. So
Right.
the walk, she's actually the carrying that energy of the sound, the knowledge from which that sound is coming forth.
Right.
Every sound you make is clearly activating certain kind of energies also. You
Absolutely.
become very conscious of that. Now,
Right.
definitely, there is the deepest part of Shravana is that of the silence part, the silence from which that sound is coming out. Now, every sound is surrounded by silence also. If you
Right.
really listen to it, if you really pay attention to it, there is silence. There's beginning and ending every sound.
Right.
That is what truly Shravana is about. Shravana is really about listening to that deep aspect of your own awareness, which is always silent. And when you begin to work through that silence, you begin to find out more about yourself.
Right.
You actually have a routine meditating. You connect with nature. You feel more calm. Suddenly you see things for what they are. You begin to
Right.
see the truth for what they are.
Right.
So Shravana is very important connected with this kind of inner silence that you want, and that's
Right.
a deep, deep thing. Now, definitely, it's only in those deep inner silence would you actually get that 100 thoughts which are divine, and then
Right.
imagine you actually getting access to even 3 of those thoughts. You can become a millionaire. A lot of
Right.
things can improve in your life and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's very important during Shravana time. You'll find a lot of people increasing that meditation thing. A lot of podcasts will come. A lot of new ways of podcasts will also come.
Right.
I would even say that a lot of traveling will begin. A lot of, you'll see, one thing I can say with Shravana, one more thing I'm doing research is this theme of Triveni Sangams, you know. So like, you can see that anything three, right, as Shravana. So Triveni Sangams is a definitely natural theme of Shravana also. So like you might find yourself going to places where three rivers are meeting. Like, you know, needn't always be like India and stuff. You might, I don't know, you might go to like, you know, Pennsylvania or something like that, Pittsburgh.
Or three companies mergers coming together. That might also happen.
Definitely. You can say three companies merging together, or one company splitting into three also
can
happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But Amanji, what do you think? What do you think can happen in Shravana? What more do you think?
That's what I was thinking, sir. Because if I take the natural element of Uttarashada, which is more stable, more Dhruva, so from Saturn point of view, it is going from the stability point of view. It is going from stability to the more moving way, in a more chara way, just like you have mentioned. So a lot of connections I'm expecting going to happen, just like you have mentioned about the podcast. So those people who are only focusing on the video, learning from the videos, they might say, okay, let's learn it from the audio point of view now. That might also happen. I think Garud Puran or stories related to Garuda might also happen when Saturn transit into Shravana, because not many people relate that part into it, because I have also prepared a small presentation on Shravana where I will disclose those points which are not anywhere mentioned on the YouTube. So that might also come, some stories of Garuda. Lot of preservation, just like the Vishnu. So the companies who are merging in a big alliance gonna take over and try to preserve the situation which were haywired in the past. So that is also depending upon the chart. Again, if it's happening in your ascendant, then lots going on your head. If it's so always look for the moon as well. What is going to happen, the Lord of the Moon in your chart? What is happening with the circumstances of your mother in regards to that? I always give a lot of emphasis on that, because that's what I'm observing. Because whenever Saturn is transiting certain nakshatras, it is affecting, not only it is affecting the body parts related to those nakshatras, also the relation to it. Maybe more than you might feel or see a lot of changes in the relationship in regards to that.
Exactly.
Your mother might have to go through a lot of changes out of nowhere, especially it's happening in your Sadesati, if you're running a Sadesati.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
So it's the best time, if you're going through a Sadesati, be prepared to buy a pair of sneakers or pair of shoes, because you have to run no matter what. Watch out for ankles related issues, injuries related to knees.
Yes.
So those are the few points I would like to mention, sir.
Yeah, it's interesting, Manji, because I think definitely that Garuda Puran point is interesting. One different thing I would say on top of that is, well, you find a lot of things with ladders happening. So watch out for ladders, because 3 steps, right? 3 ladders kind of thing is something I've seen. So you might find people buying ladders. One simple way to activate Shravana is actually buy a ladder in your own home. It's the simplest way. I can say that for sure. You can buy a ladder. You can put the ladder in corresponding degrees of your house and stuff like that. You'll see that this plays out. The other thing with Shravana, the one thing I wanted to mention is that you'll finally be in a point where you'll be listening to your own family, with Shravana. There is a deep thing going on with Capricorn opposite to Cancer,
Cancer,
in fact, it's said that you will finally be able to do the spiritual work required to enhance the relationship energy in your life, as well as with your family kind of blessings also. Now, the simplest thing I can say, and this is the simplest remedy I've seen in one of the spiritual texts, is that you actually you have to make Mondays as family only days. Don't watch any TV serials, like don't watch any Netflix or whatever. No gaming for children also. Just time when families are spending together. This was actually said by a guru in a Shaivite kind of tradition.
Right.
And what happened when I started studying nakshatra, immediately I understood why. Because when you do that, when on Mondays you sit down with your family, you are kind of activating this Shravana and Cancer kind of activity, on Mondays. So Monday is actually activating that moon nakshatra of Shravana. And you're just listening to each other, you're just spending time together with each other. It's as simple as that. Just spending time as a family, maybe playing a board game or whatever, But
or as a remedy also, sir, I think, especially if you have planets in Shravana, taking or planning a trip with your guru to a spiritual place would be very good.
Yeah, for sure. Traveling, ensuring 3 different children getting some good things. Ensure that you are buying a phone, gifting a phone or something like that to 3 different children. Literally, that's something I can say.
Beautiful.
Shravana for sure. Shravana is seen as a deep connection with 3, for sure.
And so I was just checking. Checking all these 3 nakshatras. Again, we are talking about 3 nakshatras today. They're all facing upwards. So Saturn going into the upward facing nakshatra. So definitely some kind of a good progression gonna happen.
Yeah.
Again, depending
on one definite thing you will see, the space sciences will definitely feel a big shift.
Yes.
Because of Vamana Avatar and space, and that's something for sure.
Yeah.
You'll also find a lot of expansion happening in the traveling industry in general.
Right.
A lot more new ideas will come, interconnectivity will happen, with more metros and all that kind of thing. Lot more projects happening on that front. Perhaps 3 different cities are being connected in a project.
Yeah, especially if you have Jupiter or Rahu, both are ether planet placed in this nakshatra.
Yeah.
And also you can expect what Sandeep sir is saying. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely traveling can definitely happen. High probability of traveling, no doubt about that. One definite thing I would even say is that, truly to be frank, the yogis are sitting in the Himalayas and they can travel anywhere, So it's like you'll find a lot of interest in that deep meditation kind of traveling and stuff like that also. You'll find people are just suddenly interested in that kind of thing, or traveling to lokas and all that kind of thing.
Time travel,
yeah, for sure. That kind of interest could be playing out in many ways, But yeah, with Shravana, so definitely I would say with Shravana, there's a lot of mystery there.
Right.
But yeah, I think this will be a great time period in general to, definitely the career kind of growth will also be very important. You'll begin to see the hierarchy, the steps you have to take to progress in your career, in your own life, with your own family, with your own ambitions, things like that. Definitely, I would say Shravana is the biggest karma that you want to be doing, that sense of translating your inner wisdom into actual kind of positive actions in your own career and stuff like that, in your own life, really. Now, of course, one important aspect is that with Shravana is that these are the natives who are more inclined to take their family problems to their place of work.
Right.
It's just an energetic, moon being the 4th lord of the natural zodiac, that kind of thing happening. Saturn gets debilitated 4th house from Shravana. So it's like it's one of those things they just need to become more aware about, that separation between that, home and work.
Right.
Because it's Pushya versus
4th 10 axis. Yes.
Exactly, 4th 10 axis. So that kind of separation becomes very, very important. Sometimes this can mean that, okay, fine, I have to ensure that I'm not taking my work to the home.
Right.
Sometimes it might be as simple as that, okay, I'm not taking my home to the work also.
Right.
That kind of thing. So it's very, it's a simplest thing, yeah.
There is one personal prediction. What I'm thinking of is lot of, and this is just came to my mind while you were speaking, sir. That personally, I think lot of traveling, lot of people gonna travel to Bali. That's what can happen when Saturn gonna transit, especially Shravana, to Indonesia. That might also happen because its name, again, we can connect the connection of Bali with Shravana, with the Vamana Avatar. So a lot of traveling, or maybe the people of Bali might travel to a lot of places. That is very quite possible.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say people will travel to Bali. People might even travel to, I would say that people might travel to the earth sign will become more open. A lot of mountainous kind of region they might travel. Pilgrimages come to mountains. You have to climb a lot of steps to reach that mountains.
Right.
You go to Japan and you see the monastery there. You climb steps, you go to the top. You go to China, you climb steps, you go to the top.
Right.
That kind of thing might become strong.
Right.
One thing that could happen is that you might. There might be something with 3 that can happen. I would say. Usually, you might be. I've seen this very frequently. You might travel to 3 countries, 3 cities.
Or maybe you might get a 3rd child in your family at that.
Yeah, exactly. A 3rd child, exactly. 3rd child, definitely possible.
Especially if it's your 5th lord.
Yep. Now, this 3 can be happening in many ways. You can have 3 different teachers, 3 different gurus, and they are giving you insights. 3 different, books are giving you insights. 3 different professions that are giving you insights. That kind of thing. So a great remedy for Shravana is just to talk to 3 different friends at the same time. It's as simple as that. So you'll find a lot of insights coming from that.
Beautiful.
But with Shravana, it will be very interesting with Shravana because you'll see a lot of people finally listening to their intuition and they'll finally begin to do the work that they truly have been wanting to do. In fact, there is one phrase in which you find your own voice. That is a key thing, I would say.
Right.
That find your own voice is what will happen. You'll begin to find your own voice and you'll start to speak in your own voice. First, you have to listen to your own voice. Before that, you have to find it. And then finally, you'll be able to speak it. So it's going to be a big thing. Now, one different thing also, the Akashvani will experience a lot of changes. You'll see that Doordarshan, Akashvani, and that kind of thing.
Oh, yes.
Yes. For sure. It'll be interesting to see. So, yeah.
And I remember, sir, I mentioned this in Couples G's channel. I think the last time when Saturn was in SHRAVANA, I think that was the time when Nokia was booming. And their slogan literally was connecting people. That's what I mentioned in the presentation. So maybe this will be the time to watch out when more new companies going to come together, especially the mobile companies, and might happen because if you make the Shravana as the ascendant, again, a lot of competition might happen because it becomes your 6th lord.
Yeah.
So Mercury, watch out for Mercury.
I think, so probably that's when the 5G kind of phones will be coming.
Yes.
Will be coming.
Yes.
That'll become more stronger.
But I take it
around that.
Yeah, but I take it as a very personal omen for me because as soon as we started the segment for Shravana, your hearing became more clear.
Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah.
The stability of the connection was more clear.
Yeah.
So I take it as a personal omen to me because we all have to face that thing in our life.
Yeah, we all have karma. So definitely my Shravana karma is improving.
Right.
It's much better than Uttarashadha, That's the way.
So that's why I'm saying it's going to be a lot of progression we're going to see. Again, depending upon your chart.
Right.
Have to see that. So, sir, coming back to the Dhanishta, which is the last segment for Saturn and Makar Nakshatra. What do you think about that?